And this is a video sort of reiterating a thing the Dearth prophesized. So, in 2022, the total fertility rate in England and Wales was 1.49 children per woman, down from 1.55 in 2021. This is well below the rate needed to maintain a population without immigration, which the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says needs to be at least 2.1 children per woman. The TFR has been decreasing since 2010, and in 2022, it decreased across all age groups except for women under 20. The pandemic is thought to have had the opposite effect of sparking a baby boom. And so, with that said, there is chaos happening in England with anti immigrant protesters. And I find this very interesting because it is a little spot on and on the nose with what the video shows.
Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who's been in office just a month, has promised to crack down on groups of what he called right-wing thugs who've ignited a week of racist, anti-immigrant riots in towns and cities across England. Nearly 400 people have been arrested in the past few days, and more arrests are expected. From England, special correspondent Malcolm Brabant reports.
These are just some of the social media videos that detectives are trawling through to identify and prosecute perpetrators participating in and worst riots since 2011. After days of unrest, the crisis deteriorated over the weekend when a mob attacked a hotel housing asylum seekers in the northern city of Rotherham. The government minister responsible for law and order is Home Secretary Yvette Cooper.
It's a total disgrace, and there has to be a reckoning. Those individuals who are involved in the disorder need to know that they will pay a price.
After forcing police to retreat, some of the mob tried to set fire to the hotel, full of people of colour. Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
If you target people because of the colour of their skin or their faith,
that's insane. But not as insane what's about to be shown.
then that is far right. And I'm prepared to say so.
Tats are awesome, man. Pure
That's
British.
crazy.
Yes, mate. The man with the Nazi swastika tattoo replied that he was a true Englishman.
So, obviously this guy doesn't represent all of England or Wales. He can't possibly. But the Dearth did say, or maybe it was fewer, either way it's the same author, it said that it can't force births because that would be sort of what the Nazis did. And so, as I went from the beginning, as I said in the beginning, there is low fertility and anti-immigrant sentiments, and now you have this weird Nazi, and probably more coming out of the woodwork. It's just not being shown.
With an expletive-filled rant against foreigners. Inaccurate social media posts triggered violence across the country last week after these three girls were stabbed to death at a dance class in Southport in northwest England. 17-year-old Axel Rudakubana, British-born son of Rwandan parents with a history of autism, has been charged with 3 counts of murder and 10 of attempted murder. The supposed motive for the riots has now pivoted to anger over the impact of mass immigration. Keir Starmer again.
This is violence. It is not protest. It doesn't matter what the motivation is. The motivation for the vast majority of people in this country is to see their streets safe. Big problem, yeah.
As asylum seekers cowered inside the wrecked hotel in Rotherham, 70 miles to the south, in the city of Tamworth, a similar migrant shelter came under attack from would-be arsonists.
There will be people who were thinking they were going on their summer holidays this week, and instead they will face a knock on the door from the police, they will face arrest and a prison cell.
So far, there have been hundreds of arrests. there are warnings that the government may struggle to deliver swift justice.
The situation in the criminal...
The government wants these people to be promoting their demographic status quo, as disconnected as they are from promoting these people directly. They might not have, but the randomness of this event, the government is secretly like frothing at the moment at this opportunity. Like if you've seen, like you saw the low birth rate, you know this is probably connected to that, at least in theory of what the book suggested.
justice system in England and Wales is really dire at the moment.
Cassia Rowland is a criminal justice specialist with Britain's Institute of Government.
We are out of prison capacity. We're already releasing people early. We've got major backlogs in the court. So I think it is a really difficult thing for them to do, to try and fast track that in that way.
Britain's 4 million strong Muslim community is concerned about being targeted by the mobs. In some cities, young Muslim men have turned out in force to counter-protest. In an attempt to head off racial clashes, the government has pledged to protect the nation's 1,500 mosques. But is it enough?
If the police can't cope, then maybe you need to look at the other option of bringing the army in. That's not going to be a great look for the United Kingdom, and I don't want that to happen. But ultimately, we've got to maintain law and order. You cannot have anarchy on our streets.
Shafak Mohammed is a former member of the European Parliament and a councillor for a district next to Rotherham. Do you think social cohesion in Britain is breaking down?
What I don't want is for people to live parallel lives where we never talk to each other, we never interact with each other. And that's what fosters,
He's right. Contact theory does work. If you've heard of Daryl Davis, he's collected many KKK robes and actually reformed some of those men. So it is possible. But there is a new great replacement rhetoric happening, even though it's actually in the form of our jobs and our time being outsourced for Nannygate and automation to take over, because the working class is too outspoken and they don't want that.
mistrust between different communities.
Apparently unperturbed by the government crackdown, one right-wing channel on the Telegram messaging service is trying to coordinate attacks against pro-immigration lawyers and other asylum centres. Restoring public order has become the new Labour government's most serious challenge. At stake is Britain's future as a cohesive, multicultural society.
Okay, so the basic gist at the end is like, is the multicultural society breaking down? So, without any context, sure, but it has basically been orchestrated this way. Immigrants have always been used, but immigrants aren't enough, because the aging and shrinking is happening in industrial nations globally, and immigrants won't help because they're part of the system of the lower birth rate, and they adjust to that country, and so they age and shrink and the society collapses. Even though these nationalists, they think it's immigration that is causing this issue, when it's actually all of our time and lives and ability and flourishing is being outsourced and basically redistributed to the rich. So it has nothing to do with Muslim demographic. It has nothing to do with immigration. I would say it has more to do with how we allocate people's time and use people as scapegoats. Alright. But this birth dearth situation is actually happening.